A dream wrapped in braids and hope. The bell above the grand doors of Whimsy and Wonder's toy emporium chimed like a lullaby, soft and regal, as Maya Ellison stepped inside. Her sneakers, slightly too big and frayed at the soles, squeaked against the polished marble floor. A hush seemed to follow her in, as if the building itself sensed she didn't quite belong. But Maya wasn't focused on any of that. Her heartbeat thrummed in rhythm with her excitement. Today was the day. She held tightly to the little envelope tucked deep in the pocket of her hoodie. Inside was exactly $83.20, made up of small bills, coins, and a whole lot of hard work. She had mowed lawns with her cousin, walked neighborhood dogs, even folded laundry at Miss Jeanette's place after school for $2 an hour. Every cent of it was for one purpose, to buy the Princess Nia doll. She had first seen the doll in a glossy catalog 3 months ago, a striking, brown-skinned beauty with tight, curly braids, deep almond eyes, and a dress that shimmered like stardust. It was the first time Maya had seen a doll that didn't have pale skin and straight hair. This doll looked like her. Like her mom. Like her best friend Jamila, who had lost all her hair to chemo just weeks ago. Jamila had been quiet lately, tired, pale, scared. So Maya came up with a plan: save enough money to surprise her with Princess Nia. A doll to remind her she was still beautiful, still royal, still strong. As Maya stepped further inside the store, the scent of polished wood and soft rose perfume tickled her nose. Everything glowed, like fairyland brought to life. Plush animals danced on revolving displays. Toy trains hummed along golden tracks. Stuffed unicorns hung from the ceiling like enchanted clouds. It was beautiful, but intimidating. The kids who walked these aisles weren't like Maya. Their clothes weren't hand-me-downs. Their parents held platinum cards and asked no questions about price tags. Maya walked past a little girl in a pink Burberry trench coat and ankle boots that probably cost more than her rent. She didn't care. Her mission was clear. She moved swiftly, scanning each aisle until she saw it, the Royal Legends collection display. And there she was, Princess Nia, standing tall in the center of the shelf, her braids coiled into golden loops, her tiny plastic crown tilted just so. Maya's hand trembled as she reached for it. And that's when it happened. A firm hand landed on her shoulder. "Excuse me," came a clipped voice, sharp enough to cut glass. "Do you need help with something?" Maya turned around slowly. A tall, pale woman stood behind her, dressed in sleek navy slacks and a pristine white blouse. Her name tag read, Vivian, Senior Sales Specialist. Her arms were crossed. Her expression? Suspicion. "I was just gonna buy this doll," Maya said softly, holding Princess Nia protectively to her chest. Vivian's eyes narrowed. "Do you have someone with you? A parent, guardian, older sibling?" Maya shook her head. "No, ma'am. Just me. I have money." Vivian glanced down at Maya's sneakers, her hoodie, then at the worn envelope in her hand. Something shifted in her expression, something ugly. "Sweetheart, this section is for premium collectors. These aren't for playing with," she said, her voice thick with condescension. Maya's jaw clenched. "It's not for me. It's for my best friend." Vivian sighed. "Let me see your envelope." Maya hesitated, clutching it tighter. "I'd rather not." That was the wrong answer. In one swift motion, Vivian snatched the doll from her arms and yanked the envelope from her grasp. Coins spilled across the marble floor, clattering loudly. A couple nearby shoppers turned their heads. Maya's cheeks flushed with embarrassment as she scrambled to collect them. "This isn't enough," Vivian said loudly, though it was. The price tag read $79.99 before tax. "It is," Maya pleaded. "There's more in quarters and dimes in the envelope. Please, don't do this." Vivian stepped back, shaking her head. We've had issues before. Young girls coming in, pretending they're customers. Trying to cause trouble. I think you need to leave. Maya's heart dropped. I'm not stealing. I was just. Before she could finish, Vivian slapped her hand away from the doll. Gasps echoed. The impact wasn't hard, but it didn't have to be. It was humiliating. Maya stumbled backward, slipping on a loose coin and nearly falling. The customers who had pretended not to notice were suddenly all watching. One woman pulled out her phone. Another father pulled his child closer. Vivian loomed over her. You are done here, little girl. Take your hoodlum energy somewhere else. Maya stood frozen, her eyes welling up, unable to move or even speak. A sob began to crawl up her throat. And then, the double doors swung open. The golden chime above them sounded like thunder now. In walked a tall man in a charcoal overcoat, his presence commanding the entire store's attention without saying a word. His hair was pulled back in long braids. His frame exuded calm confidence. Behind the dark shades, his expression was unreadable, but Maya knew exactly who he was. She gasped. Daddy. Snoop Dogg strode across the polished floor without rushing, but with purpose. He saw the doll on the floor. The envelope with coins scattered around it. His daughter trembling. And the woman still standing over her, breathing heavy, hands on her hips. Who? Touched. My child, he asked, calmly, but the kind of calm that only comes before a storm. Vivian turned to him, smiling awkwardly. Sir, I didn't realize. Didn't realize what? He asked, pulling his glasses down slightly. That she had money? That she had purpose? Or that she had a father who ain't the one to play with? Vivian's mouth opened, but nothing came out. I asked you a question, he said again, now looking directly at her. She was acting suspicious, she finally muttered. Snoop let out a breath, short and clipped. You know what's suspicious? He reached down, helping Maya gather the last few coins with care. A grown woman putting her hands on a child. That's suspicious. That's disgusting. Vivian tried to recover. I didn't mean to, I didn't know. You saw her hoodie. You saw her skin. That's all you needed to judge her. By now, half the store was recording. Maya looked up at her dad, eyes wide with a mix of awe and safety. He stood tall, firm, solid, everything she needed him to be in that moment. A red-faced manager came running. Mr. Broaddus, I deeply apologize. Don't apologize to me, Snoop said. Apologize to my daughter. And to every little black girl who's ever been told she's not allowed to dream. Maya watched, quiet, as Vivian stammered through an apology, her voice cracking with fear. The manager promised to handle it, internally, and asked what they could do to make things right. Snoop turned to Maya. What do you want to do, baby girl? Maya held the doll close again and said softly, I just wanted to give her to Jamila. She's been so sad. I wanted her to feel like a princess. Snoop smiled. You hear that? He said to the manager. She didn't want money. She wanted kindness. You owe her more than a doll. He placed a hand on Maya's shoulder. But don't worry. We got this. Then he looked into the cameras being held by onlookers and said clearly. Let this be a message. Our daughters are not second class. They're not suspects. They are queens, and they walk wherever they want. And with that, he and Maya walked out of the store, heads high, shoulders squared. But this was far from over. Because the video? It went viral. And the world was about to see what happens when you try to crush a little black girl's dream, only to find out her father is Snoop Dogg. The ripple effect. The next morning, Maya woke up to her phone buzzing incessantly on the bedside table. The room was still dark, the only light coming from the faint glow of her night lamp. She rubbed her eyes and reached for it, squinting as she saw hundreds of notifications pouring in. She had seen the viral video of her father confronting the store employees. It had taken less than 24 hours to reach millions of people. At first, she couldn't believe it was real, her face, her voice, her dad standing tall in front of everyone, and the clip of Vivian, the saleswoman, stumbling over her words, desperately trying to explain herself. But what struck her the most was how everyone was talking about it. Social media exploded with hashtags like #BlackGirlMagic, #SnoopDogg-protects-his-daughter, and #StandUpForOurGirls. Comments flooded in from people around the world. Some were supportive, others angry, but all of them felt connected by the rawness of what had happened. As Maya stared at the comments on her phone screen, her emotions shifted. She had expected to feel proud, after all, she had witnessed her father stand up for her. But what she felt now was a mix of pride and something else, something bigger. She opened the video again, watching as her father's words echoed in her mind. Our daughters are not second class. They're not suspects. They are queens. Maya's heart swelled as she watched the clip again, but this time, she saw herself. The shy little girl who was just trying to buy a doll was now a symbol of resilience and courage. She was no longer just a quiet girl in the background. She was someone people were now listening to. Maybe this was the moment I was meant for, she whispered to herself. Her thoughts were interrupted by her dad knocking on her door. She quickly locked her phone and tossed it to the side, just as he walked in. "Morning, kid," he said, his usual calm demeanor mixed with a hint of excitement. "You ready to face the day?" Maya nodded but didn't move from her bed. She felt the weight of everything. She knew she couldn't go back to being the same girl she was before that incident. Not anymore. "I saw the video, Dad," she said softly. "It's everywhere. People are talking about me." Her dad smiled, sitting down next to her. "You bet they are. And you know what? You have every right to be heard. You and every black girl who's ever been treated like she doesn't matter. Don't let anyone silence your voice. Ever." Maya thought about that. She had always been the quiet one, standing in the background, blending in. But now, in front of everyone, her dad had given her the courage to be seen. "So, what now?" she asked, her voice hesitant. "Well," Snoop said, leaning back on her bed, "what do you want to do with all this attention?" Maya thought for a moment. "I want to show them that I'm more than what they thought." Snoop raised an eyebrow. "More than just a girl buying a doll?" Maya nodded firmly. "Yeah. I want to show the world that black girls don't just dream. We build. We create. We change things." Her dad's face lit up. "That's what I like to hear. You decide what happens next, baby girl. But let me tell you something, we've got the world's attention. Now it's time to show them who we are." As the days passed, Maya felt a sense of clarity she'd never known before. It wasn't just about the doll anymore. It was about something deeper. She wanted to create something meaningful, something that would empower other girls like her. Her dad's manager called a few days later. "Maya, how would you feel about doing a public interview? Something with a platform that focuses on activism for girls of color? I think it could do wonders for your cause." Maya was hesitant at first. She wasn't sure if she was ready for the spotlight, but something in her gut told her that this was her chance to make a real impact. So, she agreed. The interview was scheduled for the next week, and soon Maya found herself standing backstage at a sleek studio in downtown Los Angeles. A few people crowded the area, but all she could think about was how small she felt in comparison to the sprawling city skyline outside the glass walls. But then she saw her dad. He was leaning against the wall, chatting with a producer, but the second their eyes met, he gave her a nod of encouragement. Maya took a deep breath. She was ready. When the host called her name, she walked out into the spotlight. The cameras flashed, the bright lights nearly blinding her, but she kept her eyes forward. For the first time in her life, she wasn't afraid to be seen. The interview began with the typical questions. How did you feel when the video went viral? What was it like standing up to the store employees? What did your dad think? But Maya, in her quiet, determined way, began to turn the conversation into something deeper. I've always known the world can be unfair, Maya said, her voice calm but strong. But in that moment, I realized how much of it is about the stories we choose to believe. People see me, young, black, and a girl who doesn't belong in places like this. But what they don't know is that I'm a dreamer, and my dreams are just as big as anyone else's. My value is not up for debate. The host nodded in agreement. It sounds like that moment in the store was a turning point for you. Not just because of what happened, but because of what you've learned from it. Maya smiled softly, a hint of pride breaking through her calm facade. Exactly. It taught me that I have a voice, and it's time I use it for the things that matter. My friends, my community, and the little black girls who will come after me. We're not here to stay quiet. We're here to make waves. The interview lasted longer than Maya had expected. She was asked questions about her future goals, how she felt about the current state of representation in toys, and what she believed was the most important thing for her generation of girls to know. By the time she left the studio, she felt something she had never felt before, empowered. She wasn't just the daughter of a famous rapper anymore. She was Maya Ellison, the girl who stood up for herself and, in doing so, stood up for all of the little girls who had been silenced. Days turned into weeks, and Maya's message only grew stronger. She and her father were invited to speaking events, rallies, and even local schools where she shared her story. The people who once judged her, questioned her worth, were now listening. And, in her quiet but determined way, she was changing minds. One particular event stuck out to Maya. She visited Jamila at the hospital with the Princess Nia doll she had worked so hard for. Jamila's smile was all Maya needed to know that this journey was worth it. Thanks, Maya, Jamila whispered, holding the doll close. You didn't have to, but you did. Maya placed a hand on her friend's shoulder. You're my best friend. I've always got your back. And now, we're going to show the world what we can do. The video, the media, the new opportunities, everything had led to this moment. And Maya finally realized, as she stood beside her best friend, that she was more than enough. She was a queen, and so was Jamila. Turning the spotlight into action. A few months had passed since the viral video, and Maya found herself balancing a life that had quickly become unrecognizable. It wasn't just the interviews, speaking events, or the flood of messages from people who felt connected to her story, it was something deeper. She was becoming a symbol. At first, it had been overwhelming. The attention had come so fast, like a wave crashing over her without warning. But now, as she sat in the conference room of a non-profit organization dedicated to empowering young girls of color, Maya understood what it meant to use her platform for good. Her dad had always told her, the more people look at you, the more responsibility you carry. You can either take that weight and make it count, or let it crush you. At 15, she had no intention of letting anything crush her. She wasn't just here to survive the spotlight. She was here to shine in it, to grow into something more than a girl in a hoodie. She was a girl with a mission. Today, she was meeting with a team of mentors and educators who were all dedicated to a project that would bring representation and empowerment to young girls everywhere. The initiative was aimed at changing the way the world saw black girls, not just as the stereotypes but as the dynamic, powerful individuals they truly were. Maya's role was clear: lead the way. She had spent the last few weeks reading through proposals, meeting with designers, and even brainstorming ideas for a doll collection of her own. It wasn't just about having dolls that looked like her, it was about creating dolls that celebrated diversity and strength, dolls that represented every girl who had ever been overlooked or made to feel like they didn't belong. As Maya sat at the conference table, the team was discussing the marketing strategy for the new line. A few of the adults around her were speaking passionately about reaching girls in underserved communities, while others focused on using social media platforms to make the dolls go viral. Maya felt a tap on her shoulder. She turned to see her dad's manager, who had been quietly observing. "You've been quiet today, Maya," he said, leaning in slightly. "What's on your mind?" Maya paused, taking in the conversation around her. She was learning quickly that business wasn't just about making money, it was about making change. She felt a spark in her chest, the same feeling she'd gotten when she had first stood up in front of the cameras. "Honestly," she said, her voice calm yet firm, "I think we need to do more than just create dolls. We need to create an entire movement. I want these dolls to be symbols. I want them to represent the journey of every girl who's ever been told she couldn't achieve something because of the color of her skin or the way she looked." Her words hung in the air for a moment. The adults around the table were quiet, absorbing what Maya had just said. Then, slowly, they began to nod. "You're right, Maya," one of the designers said, "if we want these dolls to mean something, they need to have stories behind them. Stories of overcoming, of hope, of unity." "That's exactly it," Maya responded, feeling a new sense of purpose. "Each doll should have a background, a narrative. And maybe we can even tie in real-life stories, girls like Jamila, who fought against her illness and never gave up. Or girls like me, who pushed through the adversity of that toy store." The room erupted in applause, not out of politeness, but genuine admiration. Maya had said something they all knew needed to be heard. Later that afternoon, as Maya and her father drove home, she felt a weight lifted from her shoulders. The decisions she had made today felt like stepping stones toward something bigger, something that could change the world for young girls like her. But even as she felt the excitement bubble up inside of her, there was something else she couldn't shake, the pressure of it all. For the first time, Maya felt the responsibility of what it meant to be a leader. "Dad," she said, breaking the silence in the car, "what if I mess up? What if I fail everyone who's watching me?" Her dad glanced at her from the driver's seat, a steady look in his eyes. "Baby girl, everyone fails. And the ones who succeed are the ones who learn from those failures and keep going. But you, Maya, you have something different. You have a purpose. Don't ever forget that." Maya nodded, but a thought lingered in her mind. Was she really ready for all this? Could she balance her school life, her friends, and now the responsibility of leading a movement? That evening, Maya opened her phone, scrolling through the endless comments and messages again. As she looked at the overwhelming outpouring of support, she paused on one message that stood out. "Maya, you don't know me, but your story saved my life. I'm 14, and I've always felt like I didn't matter. But after watching you stand up for yourself, I finally feel like I can be myself. Thank you." Tears filled Maya's eyes. She had read thousands of messages, but this one cut through the noise in a way she hadn't expected. She closed her phone and stared out the window. She had always known there was a reason for everything that had happened in her life, but now, she felt it more than ever. The viral video wasn't just about defending herself in a toy store. It was about breaking barriers, about showing every girl who had ever felt like an outsider that she could have a voice, that she could fight for her place in the world. It wasn't just her dad's influence that made her strong. It was the love and the support of every single person who believed in her. And now, she realized, it was her turn to believe in them. The next morning, Maya woke up with a newfound clarity. She had been given a platform, yes, but it wasn't just to tell her story. It was to lift up others. The project with the dolls was only the beginning. That weekend, she attended a community event where she had the chance to speak to a group of young girls. As she stood in front of them, she felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude. These girls were looking at her as if she were a hero. "Girls," Maya said, her voice strong and confident, "I know that life isn't always easy. I know that sometimes, the world tries to make you feel small. But I want you to remember something: you are not small. You are powerful. And you can do anything you set your mind to. You deserve to see yourself in the world, and I will fight for that." The girls around her cheered, and Maya felt something inside of her settle. This was what she was meant to do. She was here to inspire. She was here to change. As the weeks turned into months, Maya's influence continued to grow. She and her dad had created something bigger than themselves. The toy line was a massive success, but more than that, it was a movement. It was a reminder that every little girl, no matter where she came from, had the right to see herself as she truly was: beautiful, strong, and capable. And as Maya stood in front of the cameras, smiling confidently, she realized something she hadn't known before. Her voice was a gift, and she was never going to let anyone take it away. Rising above the storm. The first hint of what was to come arrived in the form of an email. Maya had just returned from a long day of meetings about her doll line and the growing social initiative she was leading. She was excited, things were moving forward, fast, but when she saw the subject line in her inbox, a chill ran down her spine: public backlash, the truth about Maya's dolls. Curious but apprehensive, Maya opened the email. It was a series of articles from various online outlets. At first, the headlines seemed innocent enough: the new doll collection taking over social media, and Maya's dolls, a groundbreaking move for representation. But the deeper she scrolled, the more unsettling things became. A few bloggers and critics had started to voice their concerns about the dolls. "The dolls are only a tool for marketing," one article claimed. "This is about profit, not real change." Another post labeled Maya's project a gimmick, accusing her of exploiting the issues of race for financial gain. Maya's heart sank. She had known that not everyone would understand her vision, but seeing it in print stung in a way she hadn't anticipated. This wasn't just about defending her project, it was about defending herself. She knew the sting of public judgment all too well. After all, it hadn't been long ago that the world had watched as she was humiliated in that toy store. But this time, it felt different. There was more at stake. This time, it wasn't just about a single moment, it was about the legacy she was trying to build. Sitting in the comfort of her room, her thoughts raced. Her dad had always told her, "People will talk. Let them. But don't let their words define your worth." And yet, it was hard to ignore the weight of their accusations. Maya's phone buzzed with a message from her dad, who had just gotten wind of the online stir. He was always the steady force in her life, the one who reminded her that the fight for representation and empowerment wasn't easy. He called her immediately. "Hey, kiddo. I saw the articles. What's going on?" His voice was calm, steady, as always. Maya sighed. "Dad, people are saying I'm just using the doll line to make money. Like, they're calling me a fraud." Her father paused for a moment. "Listen to me, Maya," he said, his tone deep and serious. "You know why you started this, and you know the good it's doing. Let me tell you something: people are going to hate, people are going to doubt. They always do. But the truth is, you're doing something no one has dared to do. You're making a difference. Don't let anyone take that from you." Maya took a deep breath. He was right. She had started this project with a mission: to make sure that every little girl, especially those who looked like her, could see themselves represented in ways they hadn't been before. It wasn't about profits. It wasn't about fame. It was about representation and empowerment. The next morning, she woke up to an overwhelming flood of messages from fans, followers, and even some celebrities. They had all seen the articles, but instead of condemning her, they were offering their support. Maya scrolled through the heartfelt messages, which ranged from words of encouragement to offers to help amplify the project further. One particular message caught her attention. It was from Tasha, a young woman who had been following Maya's journey since the viral video. Tasha had written, "Maya, don't let them get to you. We see what you're doing, and we believe in you. You're changing the world for us, and that means more than anything else. Keep going." Her words resonated with Maya. She wasn't just receiving love from people who agreed with her vision, she was receiving love from those who understood it at a deeper level. That evening, Maya decided to address the criticism head-on. She sat in front of the camera, a small desk lamp casting a soft light on her face. She didn't need a script. She just needed to speak her truth. "Hey, guys," she began, looking directly into the camera. "I know there's been a lot of talk about the dolls, about me and this whole project. I want to set the record straight. Yes, I started this project to create a line of dolls that reflect real girls, real strength, and real beauty. But I didn't do it for money, and I didn't do it for fame." She paused, her heart pounding in her chest. "I did it because when I was growing up, I didn't see enough dolls that looked like me. I didn't see enough stories that told me I mattered. And I know I'm not the only one. There are millions of little girls out there who feel invisible. They feel like the world doesn't see them, like they don't fit in." Her words, honest and raw, felt like a release. She took a deep breath and continued. "Criticism is going to come, especially when you're doing something important. People will always try to tear you down when they don't understand your purpose. But I'm not going to stop. And I hope that for every little girl who sees this, you know that you are worth something. You are not just an afterthought. You belong in this world." Maya's eyes were misty, but there was a calm certainty in her voice. This wasn't about winning a popularity contest. It was about using her platform for change. The video went viral within hours. This time, the feedback was overwhelmingly positive. People from all over the world praised Maya for her courage, for speaking out, and for using her platform to push for something better. As the days passed, the backlash slowly faded, replaced by a louder, more supportive chorus of voices. Maya's dolls were now more than just toys, they were symbols of resilience, strength, and pride. The toy line began to sell out in stores, with parents and children alike embracing the powerful message behind them. One day, Maya received an unexpected call. It was from a high-profile organization that worked with young girls in underserved communities. They wanted to collaborate with her on a new initiative aimed at providing mentorship programs and workshops for young girls of color, using Maya's dolls as a central part of the project. Maya's heart skipped a beat. She had known this was possible, but now it was finally happening. The project was becoming more than just a business venture, it was becoming a movement. Over the next few months, Maya traveled across the country, speaking at events, meeting with community leaders, and working with young girls to help them realize their potential. It wasn't easy, she still faced challenges and sometimes felt the pressure of expectations weigh heavily on her. But every time she saw the spark in a young girl's eyes as they picked up a doll that looked like them, she knew it was worth it. One evening, as she sat on the balcony of her family's home, her dad came out to join her. The sun was setting, casting a golden hue over everything. "You did it, Maya," her dad said, his voice full of pride. "You turned a moment of pain into something beautiful." Maya smiled, but she knew there was still more work to be done. "We did it, Dad. Together." Her father nodded, placing a hand on her shoulder. "Just remember, this is your journey. And no matter what, you are never alone." Maya looked out at the horizon, her heart full. There would always be obstacles. There would always be critics. But with each challenge, Maya knew she was getting closer to her true purpose. And the journey was only just beginning. Unforeseen challenges and new horizons. Maya sat in the back of the sleek black car, gazing out the window at the sprawling cityscape of Los Angeles. It had been several months since her doll line had exploded in popularity. The project had turned into something much larger than she ever imagined: partnerships with major brands, international recognition, and an ever-growing platform that amplified the voices of young girls who had once been overlooked. Yet, with all the success, Maya couldn't shake the feeling of weariness that weighed heavily on her chest. The excitement that had once coursed through her every time her phone buzzed with a new message or a news story had begun to fade into a quiet, constant pressure. The interview circuit had become routine, the business meetings endless, and the spotlight unrelenting. More than once, she found herself questioning whether the fame and recognition were worth the personal sacrifices she was making. She missed the days when all she had to focus on was finding the right doll for a little girl, when the simple act of bringing joy felt pure and untainted. As the car turned into the driveway of the exclusive conference center where she was scheduled to speak at a charity event, Maya's thoughts were interrupted by her phone ringing. She glanced at the screen. "Tasha." "Hey." Maya answered, forcing a smile. "What's up?" Tasha's voice sounded unusually serious. "Maya, have you seen the latest headlines?" Maya's heart skipped. "What now?" "Just check the news," Tasha said, her tone urgent. "It's everywhere." Maya felt a tight knot form in her stomach as she quickly navigated to the trending articles. Her eyes scanned the headlines: Maya's dolls, empowerment or exploitation, and Maya's controversial deal with corporate giants, the price of representation. The blood drained from her face. One of the top stories outlined how Maya's brand had begun to partner with major toy manufacturers that had been historically criticized for their lack of diversity and controversial business practices. The criticism was brutal: Maya's brand, which started with such promise, is now aligned with the very companies she once criticized for perpetuating harmful stereotypes. Maya sat back in her seat, stunned. The very companies she had thought would help amplify her message were now being painted as obstacles to her cause. How had this happened? Had she really sold out? Her phone buzzed again. This time, it was her father's name on the screen. "Dad, I don't know what to do," she confessed as soon as she picked up. "I thought these partnerships would help me grow the project, but now they're saying I've sold out. That I'm just doing this for money, for the wrong reasons." There was a long pause on the other end of the line. Finally, her father's voice came through, steady and grounding. "Maya, listen to me," he said. "When you started this project, you made a promise to yourself that you would never compromise your values. Now, more than ever, it's important to stand firm in what you believe. Don't let the noise confuse you. You know the truth." Maya's mind raced. She had wanted to make an impact, to change the game, but now she was faced with a crisis that she couldn't have predicted. Was it possible to work with big corporations and still maintain her authenticity? Or had she, in her pursuit of greater influence, compromised her very ideals? The next few days were a blur. Maya attended the charity event, but her mind wasn't on the speeches or the networking. She was consumed with the backlash. The media circus surrounding her brand continued to grow, and she found herself constantly defending her actions in interviews. The pressure was suffocating. But one afternoon, as she was preparing for a live interview with a popular talk show host, something shifted. Maya was standing in front of the mirror, adjusting her outfit when her phone rang again. It was Tasha. "I've been thinking," Tasha said. "You can't just keep responding to the critics. You need to turn this around. Why don't you use your platform to own your choices, explain your vision, and show everyone what you're really about?" Maya paused, the weight of the idea sinking in. "You think I can turn this around?" "I know you can," Tasha replied. "But you have to do it your way. Don't let them control the narrative." For the first time in days, Maya felt a glimmer of hope. She had always known that the road to success wouldn't be easy. But maybe, just maybe, she could use this challenge as an opportunity to elevate the conversation about corporate responsibility and true representation. That night, Maya sat down in front of her laptop and drafted a social media post that would change the course of the conversation. She spoke directly to her followers, to the parents, to the young girls who had been following her journey. Hi everyone. Maya here. I've been listening to your feedback, reading your messages, and reflecting on everything that's been happening. I've always said that I'm committed to creating something real, something that empowers girls of color. And I know many of you are wondering, what does this partnership with big corporations mean for that vision? She took a deep breath and continued typing. Let me be clear, these partnerships aren't about selling out. They're about leveraging my platform to create real change in spaces where our voices have been silenced for too long. Yes, it's complicated. Yes, I understand the concerns. But I believe we can't keep waiting for the perfect moment to make a difference. Sometimes, we have to create that moment ourselves. The post went viral within hours. Thousands of comments poured in, some in support, some still skeptical. But the conversation had shifted. Maya wasn't just defending herself anymore, she was leading a conversation about how change happens, even in spaces that were deeply flawed. Over the following weeks, Maya continued to build her platform. But now, she did it with more intention. She started hosting roundtable discussions with leaders in the toy industry, educators, and activists to discuss how to create meaningful representation without compromising on values. She made it clear that she wasn't just in this to sell dolls, she was in it to change the way the world viewed young girls of color. Her message resonated with more people than ever before. Parents who had once been skeptical of her project now saw her as a leader in a larger movement. And the critics? They had become less vocal, their accusations drowned out by the growing support for her mission. Maya had learned a valuable lesson: success wasn't just about growth and visibility, it was about staying true to her vision, even when the path was unclear. She had faced the backlash head-on, and instead of allowing it to break her, she had used it as a catalyst for deeper connection and understanding. Months later, Maya stood in front of a crowd at an educational conference, speaking to an audience of young women who were eager to follow in her footsteps. Her project had expanded to include mentorship programs, workshops, and scholarships for young girls in underserved communities. Her dolls were now a tool in a larger mission, one that went beyond toys. As she looked out at the sea of eager faces, Maya realized that the real power of her journey had never been about the toys, the fame, or the media attention. It had been about creating a platform for others to rise. And that was just the beginning.